The American colonies were on the brink of war with Great Britain in April 1775. Tensions were high, and the air was thick with uncertainty and fear. The colonists knew that a confrontation was inevitable. British troops were stationed in Boston, their presence a constant reminder of the Crown's control and the looming threat of military action. The colonists were preparing to defend their liberties, training militias, and discussing strategies to resist British aggression. They were determined to protect their homes and their rights. The British government, determined to assert its authority, planned a surprise action. They believed a swift and decisive move would crush the burgeoning rebellion. They intended to seize colonial military supplies hidden in Concord, Massachusetts, a critical blow to the colonial resistance. To achieve this, they would march secretly to Lexington, hoping to capture colonial leaders Samuel Adams and John Hancock, whose leadership was vital to the colonial cause. However, the colonists had a network of informants, a clandestine web of spies and messengers who were vigilant and ready to act. They were watching the British closely, tracking their every move, and preparing to sound the alarm at the first sign of trouble. If the British marched, the colonists would be ready. They had their weapons at the ready, and their resolve was unshakable. The fate of the colonies rested on getting the word out quickly. Paul Revere and other writers were prepared to spread the alarm, ensuring that the colonial militias could mobilize in time to meet the British threat.
I was a silversmith by trade, crafting fine silverware and jewelry with meticulous care and precision. My days were filled with the clinking of metal and the glow of the forge. But I was also a dedicated patriot, deeply committed to the cause of American independence. My heart burned with the desire for freedom. A member of the Sons of Liberty, a group of like-minded individuals who met in secret to plan our resistance against British tyranny.
Revere was known for his courage and his ability to carry messages quickly. His bravery was legendary, and his name was whispered with respect and admiration. He was a skilled horseman and knew the roads and paths around Boston like the back of his hand. Every twist and turn, every hidden trail was familiar to him.
The Sons of Liberty chose me for a critical mission, one that could change the course of history. I was to ride to Lexington to warn Adams and Hancock that the British were coming. The fate of our leaders and our cause rested on my shoulders. This was a dangerous task, fraught with peril at every turn. The night was dark, and the road ahead was filled with unseen dangers. The British patrolled the roads, their presence a constant threat. They were vigilant, and their eyes were everywhere. Capture meant certain imprisonment, maybe even death. The stakes were high, and failure was not an option. My mission was clear, and I was determined to succeed.
On the night of April 18, 1775, Paul Revere set off on his famous ride. It was a night that would go down in history, a night filled with urgency and the spirit of revolution. He left Boston just before the British troops began their march. The air was thick with tension as the British soldiers prepared to move. Revere rode through the night, his heart pounding with each gallop of his horse. The countryside was cloaked in darkness, but his mission was clear. He used prearranged signals to alert other patriots along the way. These signals were crucial in spreading the word quickly and efficiently.
A lantern hung in the steeple of Boston's Old North Church signaled the British were coming by sea. This simple yet effective system of communication was vital. 2 lanterns meant they were coming by land. The sight of these lanterns would have sent a clear and urgent message to all who saw them.
Revere rode through Charlestown, his determination unwavering. The journey was perilous, but he pressed on, and across the Charles River. The crossing was fraught with danger, but it was a necessary part of his mission. He reached Lexington in the early hours of the morning. The village was still and quiet, unaware of the impending danger. Revere successfully warned Adams and Hancock. His timely warning allowed them to take action and prepare for what was to come. They escaped just before the British arrived. Thanks to Revere's bravery and quick thinking, they were able to evade capture and continue their fight for freedom. Section 4, More Than One Messenger. Paul Revere was not the only rider that night.
William Dawes, another patriot, also rode to Lexington with the same warning. I took a different route but arrived around the same time as Revere.
After warning Adams and Hancock, Revere and Dawes continued on to Concord. They were joined by Dr. Samuel Prescott.
The 3 riders ran into a British patrol. Revere was captured. Dawes escaped but was thrown from his horse, losing his important messages. Only I made it to Concord to warn the militia there.
Section 5. The fight for freedom begins. When the British arrived in Lexington, they found the town common occupied by a small group of armed militia.
A shot rang out. To this day, no one knows who fired first. We opened fire on the militia, killing 8 colonists. This was the shot heard round the world.
The British continued to conquer. However, the colonists were ready. They forced the British to retreat back to Boston.
The American Revolution had begun.
Section 6. A Nation Awakens. Paul Revere's ride was a pivotal moment in American history. It is celebrated as a symbol of courage, patriotism, and the fight for freedom. Though not a military victory, it represents a critical moment. The news of Revere's ride and the battles at Lexington and Concord spread like wildfire. People across the colonies were inspired to take up arms against British rule. The colonies united in their desire for independence. Paul Revere's ride helped to spark a revolution. It continues to inspire generations of Americans.